Why is it everywhere you want to find any A to Z, it's always in a crease?
Meet Gary. He's just an ordinary bloke who finds himself back in 1940.
Pint of best then. And how much will that be, pray? Sixpence halfpenny?
It's tuppence farthing.
Come on, seriously, how much?
I told you, it's tuppence farthing.
Oh, what a brilliant tree.
My God, it's real.
Real or not, Nicholas Linter stars in Goodnight Sweetheart, Thursday at 8:30 on BBC One.
Welcome back to Doctor Who Too Hot for TV. We are the podcast that looks at all things Doctor Who Extended Universe. But once again today, we're looking at something that isn't Doctor Who and on the television. It's the Goodnight Sweetheart edition. So I'm once again joined by Jackson. Hi, Jackson.
Hello, good evening.
And Mikey Smith. Welcome, Mikey.
Hi, nice to see you guys. Nice, really nice to see you. One of my favourite things.
These are a few of my favourite things.
So, Mikey, you're here as our resident Goodnight Sweetheart expert. So tell us about your love for the show.
Well, you know, we've watched I don't want to give too much away, but we've watched. Well, I'll just tell them we've watched the first and the last, right?
Yeah.
And both of them made me well up a little bit. So there's definitely something about Goodnight Sweetheart that pulls at my pubes, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily very funny either.
No.
It's just it's the most heartwarming story of adultery. It's just, there's something about Goodnight Sweetheart, and I literally can't quantify it. I'm sure Nicholas Lyndhurst is part of it, but I've probably rewatched it quite a few times. I don't have a memory of when I first saw it, whether it was when it first came out as a kid, which maybe were the nostalgia. I just don't, I've got no idea. All I know is subsequently I've watched it a fair bit. And if, say, I'm in a Premier Inn and it comes up and it's on the Yesterday channel or whatever, I'll stop having sex with my wife and I'll switch it on.
You go, excuse me, sweetheart. It's Goodnight Sweetheart.
It's good night to you. And hello to Nicholas Lyndhurst.
I'll stop having sex with your wife whenever it comes on too. So
Look, mates. I come on here to talk about an old sitcom. I do not expect you to start talking about having sex with my wife.
But it's
And
the
not only
theme.
that-
It's adultery. That's the theme of the show.
Next, you'll be saying you want sex with her across 2 different time zones.
no, I want your ex-wife in a different time zone.
So hang on a minute. So what you're saying is not only do you want to cheat, you want to cheat with my wife, you want to cheat with her when she was younger. This is ridiculous, Dylan.
What
We
a-
haven't spoken for ages.
And this is how I treat you. I have fond memories of Goodnight Sweetheart when it was on television back in the day. We used to tune in and watch it. I didn't see every episode, but when I was a student, I had a girlfriend who was obsessed with it. And she had the whole thing on DVD, and we watched the whole thing through with her. And so I wouldn't class myself as a fan, but I've seen the full run.
Who was that? Who was the girlfriend?
Hannah.
Hannah loved Goodnight Sweetheart.
And still does.
Wow.
So was it because she thought it was hilarious, or did she also have an emotional reaction to it that she can't explain? And why did you break up?
I think she was cheating on me. I think
Oh,
she
okay.
was
Well, let's
she was big on adultery. No, we're actually
Let's
still
brush over that. So why did she like
we're
Goodnight?
still mates now.
Do you think that's a red flag that her favourite sitcom was about adultery?
In hindsight, yes.
God. Sorry.
It's just what she loved.
But you're engaged now to
Not to
a very
her.
nice... Yeah, I know. It doesn't... I didn't realise we were going to get this deep so soon. Let's all talk about our experiences of adultery.
So what does the current Mrs. Dillon enjoy? Is that adultery-based content?
No, she's mainly into Big Brother.
Right, okay.
Yeah, Big Brother, cycling, that sort of thing. No, as far as I know, maybe she's got another fella in the 1940s. Who knows?
Well, you don't know. Did she ever come back with... Did she... No, forget that.
If she likes Big Brother, then she likes being confined to a house.
I mean, don't we all these days?
Yeah.
Going
So
outside's rubbish.
That's a safe favourite TV show.
if they could just find some kind of vaccine for this pandemic, we could all leave the house.
Wouldn't that be great? I'm sure they'd tell us if it was over, right?
Yeah.
Jackson, what about you?
So, UK Gold stole a lot of my adolescence. So, I think I had vague memories of Goodnight Sweetheart when it aired, but I actually only got into it later when it was repeated on UK Gold. If it was even called that by that point, it might have just been called UK TV or something, or one of the other iterations of it. But there was a period where I used to stay at our Uncle Kevin and Jennifer's house, and I'd take Your Doctor Who videos there to watch them over the weekend. And then eventually one evening we were watching like Are You Being Served or something,
Right.
and that just blew open my mind to all of these old sitcoms that I got into. So on UK Gold I would watch Are You Being Served, The Good Life, a couple of others, and Goodnight Sweetheart was one of those things. So I was probably properly into it for about 6 months to a year. And again, it was always out of order. They would just show random episodes, and I don't think there was any sequence to it. So I watched a load of episodes, and then they'd air the first one, and watch a load more, and then they'd air the last one, and it would just cycle around in an infinite time loop of repeats.
So the basic concept is Gary Sparrow, for some reason, goes through some sort of time warp and ends up in World War II, where he meets another woman, and he basically has 2 lives, 2 wives in 2 different time zones, and much hilarity ensues. As Mikey said, we watched the first episode and the last episode. So let's start with the first one. Is it a good introduction to the series? Let's go for Jackson first of all.
Oh yeah, no, I enjoyed this. And I was really surprised by really odd little things, like what it's like to walk into a pub from about... What's the time jump here? So it's 90s to the...
It's 1993
Yeah.
to 1943, I think is the idea.
Okay, so it's only like 50 years. And just the idea that you would... Because it's in London, the idea that you would walk into a pub and not only do they have no idea what drink you're ordering, but also the borough of London that you live in hasn't even been invented yet. And there were just lots of small things that I thought that's actually quite clever and quite interesting that they've definitely thought about this.
There's not even any lager, hasn't even been.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, and there's what the hell's lager? And also just the sheer awkwardness of not having any money and the kind of awkwardness that brings about. I thought all that stuff was great, and I really enjoyed it.
What about you, Mikey? You've seen this a few times, right?
Yeah. Well, the other thing they've got accurate, which is still true today, is when he first walks into that pub in the past, he says hello to everybody and everyone just ignores him. And that hasn't changed in London in all that time. But I think it creates this kind of spooky atmosphere. It's weird because I wonder how it was advertised. Surely people knew coming in that this was all going to be about him going to the past. Like, if it must have been on the front of the cover of the Radio Times, or like people must have kind of known. And I say that because the audience reaction that we're given, like in the studio audience, isn't people going, oh, it's people kind of laughing at an in-joke to the possibilities of him going in the past. So I get the impression at the time the audience maybe aren't supposed to be surprised. Then they're more supposed to enjoy the process of him going into the past. There's quite a nice, a very subtle sepia tone to the first couple of scenes when he goes to the past, just to really hammer it home. They lose that later. Like, that goes after. I don't know how quick it goes, but it's definitely not there later.
Yeah, once they've established it.
Yeah, it's like one step away from, that film effect Windows Movie Maker used to make.
Yeah.
But they just do that little thing. But I agree with Jackson. It's just set up beautifully. And also something I'd forgotten, maybe until I watched the first episode again, because you rarely see the first episode on repeats, is that he doesn't know his mates until the party at the start.
Yeah, I hadn't realised that.
Yeah, so his mate Ron, he meets at the party. So it's just such a great... It's quite sexual as well, that first episode. You can see a bit of a men behaving badly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk of him trying to get his leg over with his missus and stuff.
If you went in not knowing, I think you'd think it was going to be a sitcom about those two lads and, as you say, sort of men behaving badly. Thing.
And that's the tone of it. And I think that's done on purpose. So as when he goes back into the past, that laddish 90s thing can conflict a bit with the sensibilities. But then I think that's quickly forgotten for something else. As you do, as you write something as it goes along. It's not a kind of clash of cultures for very long. It's more one-line gags at the things that exist in the future that don't exist in the past, rather than Gary being a fish out of water. I don't think that lasts very long.
Yeah. There's also, like, there's a couple of switches throughout it, and there's at the point where he's in the past and there's an air raid, it's actually quite a nice, because it's all fun and games up until that point, and then all of a sudden you suddenly feel this danger within the story, and it suddenly feels like, oh, this is a drama as well. It's not just gags. Isn't the past funny?
Yeah, they set that out definitely. As you go through series 1, there's a lot of stuff that's about loss and fear, and and then eventually, like, Phoebe's dad dies as well. So there's definitely that drama edge to it as well. I have a little feeling that it's written by the same guys that wrote Birds of a Feather.
Oh, interesting.
And Birds of a Feather, particularly series 1 and 2, also have this feeling of a drama where people's feelings are at stake, running concurrently with a bunch of knob gags, So they're quite good at that.
How do we feel about the comedy?
I can't remember any jokes, but it doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it and like the tone of it. What I liked it as a teenager and what I like it now is just the realities of what a normal person would do with time travel. So it's not an adventurer. It's not someone battling something. It is just, how would you actually just get about, and what would you do with the premise of that? And so even my memories of the show, like, I don't remember any big laughs. I think the main gag I remember, which is from a completely different episode, was that he brings a jar of Maxwell House coffee from the present to the past, and there's a European guy who decides to rename himself Maxwell House because he thinks it sounds like a proper English name, and that's about it. But the gags in this episode kind of passed me by a bit.
It's obviously a very sort of tea time, midweek humour. Well, I suppose it's is it post Watershed?
It's a 7:30 show, this.
Yeah. So, I mean, comedy itself is one of those things that tends to age, not badly, but it's certainly, like, it's one of the mediums that advances most quickly. So the sort of things we laugh at today, if you suddenly brought out something like this, you wouldn't necessarily find it funny. I didn't have any great, huge laughs, but I can imagine it working for the 10 million people that are watching at 7:30 on a Wednesday or whenever it was in 1993.
Well, it's what they used to call a gentle comedy. So it's not Del Boy falling through the bar, It's like there used to be shows like May to December.
Yeah.
And what's the one where them two older people meet each other? So May to December is about an older fella having a relationship with a younger girl. Very gentle comedy with paedophilic undertones. But what's the one that Judi Dench is in, where they meet each other? They used to be sweethearts in the war, and then they meet each other 30 years later, as time goes by. But yeah, I'm just saying it's very similar in tone, really. In that there's no, like, massive laughs. It's more, I don't know, like, the laughs just come from, I don't know, just like quirky character things. We have got the trope of someone who's thick, which is what the policeman.
That man should never have been a policeman.
Well, it doesn't stack up, does it, Dill? But that's really nice, because what they do with Reg is throughout the 6 seasons, there's probably about 5 versions of him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he keeps coming back at different intervals, time zones, members of the family. It's a kind of running joke that we get different Reggies. But that's a lovely performance as well. I mean, I know the joke is he's thick, but it's part of the loveliness of it. And then later on, they bring, you'll know this, Jackson, they bring Noel Coward into it, don't they?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Where do we stand on the ethics of this series and how Gary's just banging his way through time?
I only really got into episode 1 when he went back in time. So the initial setup is that he's at home. Are they boyfriend and girlfriend at the start?
Or they're married.
They're married. She's retraining. She's doing an evening course.
That's right. They set it up as though Yvonne is not fulfilling his needs.
Yeah.
Both physically and emotionally. So they do lay the ground for us being okay about it, right?
Yeah. But she's doing a degree in the evening.
Yeah, in psychology.
Yeah. Which, can't have women educating themselves.
No, not in the 90s.
And it is interesting the way it's played in terms of he's not getting his needs fulfilled, but actually he's the fucking loser while she's trying to better himself. And he's talks a lot. There's that conversation at the beginning about there's no rite of passage for men anymore and things like that. It's quite like you can see that being used in a sort of incel argument in a way. I'm not for a minute saying that's what it is, but it is sort of a slightly aged idea of a woman should meet a man's needs over everything else. Sorry,
I don't understand your problem.
But also, he's kind of like, he's not heroic, even though he's the main character.
No.
So he is this kind of just bumbling figure.
He's a chancer.
And he's a chancer. He's unsatisfied by his wife doing a degree. But this is what was so odd is watching the opener and the final episode back to back. Because by the final episode, Yvonne discovers that he has been cheating on him. And the response is, oh, guess I should have tried harder. And that's it.
Yeah, she's quite chilled about it. But also, like, you were saying, Dylan, about how, it's a bad look, like the male-female thing. If you sort of stay with it, it's kind of quite a good look because the joke's on him, right? Because she ends up being, first of all, she ends up with like a really powerful job in, I think it's PR, and she ends up being Tony Blair's PR girl, right? Or executive assistant or something. And then she ends up becoming a dame. And then she ends up buying out his business and they end up living in a palatial London apartment, much like yourself, Dylan. and it's all because of money. She's a millionaire.
Right.
So although he's done this ethically dubious thing across different timelines, we could talk about whether it really matters when there's time travel involved. But actually the joke's on him because she's not the lesser. By the end, she's the greater.
No, exactly. I think that they're very well aware of what they're doing. And I think this character could be written as a complete bastard or a bit of a cunt. But it's down to the writers and Nicholas Lyndhurst. That he's actually really likeable. I mean, the gag is in order to find a relationship that he does find fulfilling, he has to go back to the good old days.
Well, also, the suggestion is that the two women fulfill different sides of what he needs. That's the suggestion they keep coming back to. Like, if you watch the show, the reason they keep it all rosy is that they constantly suggest that he's not really cheating on her. It's like the two ladies in his life are fulfilling the complete picture, which, okay, boys, if you could walk down an alleyway behind Sainsbury's,
I knew you were going to say this.
And go forward or backwards 50 years, right? Are you telling me that given the opportunity, you're at least going to have a love bite or something? I mean, come on.
Can I admit what one of the biggest fantasies that I held for quite a few years was as a teenager? And it's not sexual. It's not sexual.
Does this involve Matthew Waterhouse?
No, as in, I thought that if time travel exists, if I could just go back to the 1970s and write for Doctor Who and just steal all of the episodes and do them a bit better and give advice as how to how to avoid the pitfalls of what happened, I thought that's sorted. That's a career. I genuinely thought that could be a career.
I love you, Jack.
Maybe that could be your sitcom.
I know.
Well, I
good
think-
good night, Terence Dick.
Robert Holmes.
Right, yeah.
I just think it sets us apart that I could go back in time and romance Linda Lusardi. That's what's on my mind.
Yeah.
With tantalising glimpses of a future and a few well-chosen lottery numbers. And you're thinking about going back and improving the narrative development of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of standing behind Linda Lusardi. We're thinking of...
I'm somewhere in the middle because I'd go back in time and shag Robert Holmes.
Well, he was an ex-policeman, so he was, he was a hard nut.
Oh, you think he'll fight me?
Yeah, but in a good way.
I guess what's odd is that affairs are very painful, hurtful things. And obviously sitcoms have ways of dealing with pain in a very different way. So these things happen in things like Friends, but they have a rhythm to them where they'll find a way to put in a joke and they structure it in quite a different way. Whereas this kind of swerves it. So you never get the big confrontation. You never get the anger or, the kind of wooing back or anything like that. It is just this, he just kind of disappears. And so the main conflict of the show is kind of just removed from it. And what I was expecting, obviously this is thinking in a very Stephen Moffat type way, but as soon as he got trapped in the past, you immediately think, well, he could live until the 90s. He could be around as an old man in the 90s. And I was fully expecting him to pop up in kind of aged makeup and for her to kick him in the knackers or something.
I was just going to say, speaking of Stephen Moffat,
Yeah.
there's something that happens in the last episode that
Oh, yeah.
Stephen Moffat might have been taking note of.
Yes, yeah.
I think this is a direct influence on Blink because what is the lead character in Blink called? Sally Sparrow.
I think they're relatives. I think Sally Sparrow is like the cousin of Gary Sparrow.
Well, it could be Gary's, because he has a little boy that we see.
Yeah.
But he could have a little girl as well.
Or the little boy had a little girl.
No, that doesn't add up because I've done the maths on this.
Okay.
So this is a Doctor Who spin-off.
Yeah. This
Wow.
is it's all part of the same universe.
Well, Doctor Who is also mentioned in the last episode as well. I don't know if you boys picked up on it, but
Yeah, she says
Oh, yeah.
you can't just disappear like Doctor Who's phone box.
yeah, it's not a phone box, dickhead. It's where the policeman puts his things, he can go and have a break. It just happens to have a phone.
She's using modern parlances. So this final episode, it all comes to a head. Is there any near misses beforehand? Is there any inclination that he might be able to travel in time, that sort of thing?
So they do play around with this from time to time. There's a whole situation, you mentioned before, Dylan, about how, well, what if he meets his older self? You might have said it, Jackson. What if he meets his older self? Because he might still be alive then in the 90s, yeah? Or his son will be alive, blah, blah, blah. They do address that. So they definitely do an episode where he meets his son.
Right.
And he knocks on the door and that happens. And I think, if I remember correctly, he finds out he's passed away.
Right.
At that point.
Okay.
But they do all kinds of little things like this along the way. It's almost like every so often someone goes, come on, let's do a time travel episode. But I would say they're few and far between, but they do address it. They definitely address it as they go along. And then ultimately that thinking evolves into a kind of quantum leap scenario for the explanation as to why in the last episode he can't get back. Which, if you think, that last episode is in, I think, 1996 or 7, which is well past quantum leap time. But yeah, they do keep coming back to this thing of, well, the the butterfly effect, and why has he not met himself? Why has he not rang himself? All this stuff does come to light. In fact, one of the things that, so the posh, in the last episode, the posh apartment where they're living, that is actually the same apartment that Gary lived in the past.
Right, okay.
And Noel Coward lives next door. So that's actually the same apartment. Eventually, it turns out to be the same apartment. So they do play around with this.
And so we get this reason that he was, for some reason, the universe, God, whatever, sent him back in the past to save the life of Clement Attlee, the leader of
Yes.
the Labour Party, which I suppose is as good a reason as any. It's interesting in this era where the BBC are like, oh, sci-fi doesn't work. This is very much a genre show by the back door. It's a sitcom first. What most people probably wouldn't even consider a sci-fi premise to it at the time, including probably the execs at the BBC. But it's interesting to hear they do play around a little bit more with the time travel every now and then. Because is there a Jack the Ripper episode?
Yeah, so in one episode, he goes 50 years back from 50 years.
Right.
So he walks down a different, if I remember this, he walks down a different alleyway from the 1940s and ends up in the late 1800s.
Right, okay.
And that's the Jack the Ripper episode.
I kind of want to watch that now.
I'm going to watch all of this.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sucked in now.
It's just such a lovely show. When I was watching that last one, there was a moment where I got all choked up and I can't remember what it was, but there's just something about this show that's just, I don't know, it's fab.
The ending is sad, and it's also, for me, it's the sitcom version of Life on Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're very, very similar, very similar ideas of dissatisfied men that escape into some nostalgic past that they kind of...
Like this podcast.
Yes. Oh, my God.
But also the fact that he ends up staying where he's needed the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, his wife in the 1990s is this really powerful figure. She's got it all figured out. And I think that's one of the reasons why Yvonne is so, I don't know, magnanimous about the whole thing, is that actually, she's not as into that relationship herself, really, because she's off doing X, Y, and Z. She's flying all over the world. She's hardly seeing him. Like, he goes where he's needed, like the littlest hobo.
My main memory is, do both lead women get recast?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember
Same
that really freaked me out watching it, because they look quite similar, the people they recast them, but a bit, obviously not, because they're different people, and I remember finding it really disturbing.
Well, they've got the same colour hair, Jackson.
I don't know about you, but I much preferred his wife in the past than
Okay, can we discuss this? Is it okay to discuss this as men?
Yes, it is.
Okay, which are the fitter ones?
The first 40s lady.
Yeah, agreed.
That's the very famous. She's in Doctor Who, isn't she?
Is she?
Yeah, she's in the. She's in the Next Doctor. She's the baddie in the Next Doctor.
Oh
No.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Dervla Curvler. Whatever her name is.
Yeah, she's the bad. So she's the same. That's her. Yeah.
I thought it was, but in my head, I actually thought she was going to be too young in a way.
Dylan, I can see you're on the internet checking my information. You don't need to, son.
How did you know?
Because I'm into this shit.
No, I wanted to know who the other lady was.
Oh, okay, I can tell you. So the first Yvonne is Michelle Holmes,
Right.
who was in Rita, Sue and Bob too.
Ah, okay.
And then later on, she's in Emmerdale for Yonks, and she's been in loads of dramas. She was in Corrie for a while, actually, behind the bar.
Ah, okay.
And then she turns into Emma Amos. So Emma Amos is much more of a sort of sexy siren type thing, I suppose. Edit any of this that's inappropriate in 2022. I know we're recording during the pandemic. But I would also say, in my book, I actually prefer Elizabeth Carling, who is the first Phoebe.
Right.
I think she's a quirkier actress. I like her. So sorry. She's
The
the
second
second
Phoebe.
Phoebe.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So she's the second Phoebe. I like her. I think she's a quirkier actress. So I prefer Elizabeth Carling.
It came as a real shock as well. Even though I knew it was coming, I was like, both of them? What the fuck? Was Nicholas Lyndhurst actually having an affair with both of them and it all went horribly wrong?
I heard he was a bit of a lad back in the day.
Oh, interesting. Old
Yeah.
Shagger Lyndhurst.
Yeah. He apparently shared an apartment with Jack Pitt for a while. Fucking take that out, Jesus. Deep dive.
Is it a satisfying conclusion to the series?
Yeah. Because what's great about it is it's so underwhelming in a very confident way. It all getting resolved is left unresolved because he gets stuck on one side and we are left to decide, is it best for him to be left in the past? He's got a kid. His wife needs him more, arguably. Yeah. So we're left to make our conclusions there. And Yvonne's reaction to it is probably a bit strange, but what are you supposed to do? I mean, she literally, her first time that she realizes what's going on is she watches him disappear in the portal. She's on the winkle picker, isn't she?
Yeah.
And she watches him disappear. And I think she acts that really well. She's like, what the fuck? Once you've seen someone disappear through a wall, the fact that they're dipping their pencil into somebody else's pencil case becomes immaterial because it's all bigger than that.
Yeah, you're questioning the nature of reality at that point.
You're questioning the nature of reality, and I think they use a line like that, actually. I think she says something like, well, first of all, it's this, and secondly, the whole nature of physics has changed.
Yeah.
So I just love the way it ends, and it also, when it ends, it just stops. Like that last episode just stops. They don't warn you about it.
Yeah.
It's just, he stood there at the portal with his new wife and his child, and he just says, well, we'll be together forever, and then that's it. Goodnight, sweetheart. So I like the way it finishes, really. What did you think, Jackson? Do you like the way it finishes?
I don't think having had a long break from the show, I don't think watching the first and last episode is a good experience, because I think you need all the stuff in between to see what's going to happen, because I'm just thinking of all the things that you would do with an affair that aren't there, but obviously I have no idea.
Are you talking about bum stuff?
No, I'm talking about the confrontations that happen with affairs, but I'm viewing that from the point of view of taking out the entire journey as to what it's like. And what is very powerful is the idea of someone going into the past and never coming back, and it's obviously it was what made Doomsday with the 10th Doctor and Rose effective, because really, in the modern world, there aren't the same physical barriers that restrict people. Like, besides prison, you can get on a plane and you can get on a plane to a war zone country and get someone back. There isn't the same rigid kind of borders necessarily for most people. So someone being irretrievable from the past is very haunting and strange and sad. And so the scene with the wallpaper, and the message being written on the wallpaper, I think is very emotional and powerful, because it really hits you in the gut. Yeah, that's all I've got to say. I kind of just want to watch more of it.
Yeah.
But from like a basic, like, even just from a sitcom point of view, I'm sure Friends did episodes about affairs, and it was, lead up, set up, confrontation, gag, all that kind of stuff. But I guess because I think the point of the show isn't actually in the opener and the finale. I think the point of the show is what happens in between.
Yeah. Well, it's also a style of storytelling or television that you don't really get anymore, in that it's got to be done with that week's story in 30 minutes. There isn't like an arc. There's a through line of the series about what it's about, and there's continuity of characters and their stories, but it's not something, unless Mikey turns around and goes, oh no, series 4 is this massive sort of arc, but it's just like, whether you're episode 1, episode 15, or the last episode, you're going to tell whatever story you're telling in 30 minutes and be done with it. So, and that includes wrapping up the entire thing.
Yeah, there isn't any arcs. No, they just keep riffing on the same, on the same idea, and episodes are quite self-contained normally. Just to say then, so something we alluded to earlier about the Stephen Moffatism of the last episode, and Jackson's just mentioned it. So the only way that Gary gets stuck on the other side of the portal once he's done what we think he was quantum leaped in there to do, as you say, to save the future leader of the Labour Party who would start the welfare state and the NHS, is the only way he can communicate with the future is because, as I said to you before, they're living in the same flat. He can rip the wallpaper back and write the message, and it just says, I love you and I'm sorry, or something like that, doesn't it? But the way it etches up as he writes it on the wallpaper is very much like Blink, isn't it? It's very much.
Yeah.
And I've not seen that anywhere else.
No, I mean, it wouldn't surprise, because Blink started life in an annual, and it wouldn't surprise me if Stephen Moffat was asked to do this little annual story and was sat watching UK Gold or something and had just seen this and went, well, it's only a little annual story. I'll just rip this off. It'll make quite a good Doctor Who. And there you go. But I wonder if anybody's ever asked him about it.
I don't know. And the scary thing is, if he'd have been watching an hour earlier, he might have been watching May to December. And the whole of 2 seasons of Doctor Who could have been about a worryingly older man getting off with his younger secretary, as in if he'd watched May to December instead.
Isn't that the plot of New Doctor Who in many ways?
Are you saying that New Doctor Who is based on the foundations of imbalanced sexual relationships?
I'm saying that the Doctor is an older man or woman a lot of the time, and he's often shagging 19-year-olds, allegedly. Anyway.
Well, I was watching a documentary last night about Coronation Street and this documentary was from 2008 on Channel 5, and this was a radio DJ, a famous radio DJ, talking about Julie Goodyear, you know, the one that played Bet.
Right.
And in this documentary, he quite confidently says, I was working as a DJ and she came into my club and she shouldn't have been in there really. And long story short, I didn't go home without a blowjob that night. No, I don't know whether that comment fits into this particular pod.
I'm just going to start it with just that comment. So before we wrap things up, 2 things. Number 1, I'm surprised someone hasn't tried to do a gritty remake of this. And number 2, there was a follow-up, right? They did a couple of specials. What happens there?
So there was a season of BBC episodes reviving old sitcoms with a view to the most popular one going back to series, right? Mm. So as part of the same thing, they remade Porridge. This was 2016. They remade Porridge. They remade Are You Being Served? I think there was 5 or 6 in total. And one of them was Goodnight Sweetheart, which was the only one, I think, that properly had a through line because it was the same actors and things, right? All made out of Media City, literally in the same studio, you know. Anyway, long story short, it's brilliant. So it's a half-hour 2016 update, and it's Gary... I don't want to give it away too much because it's brilliant. It's Gary now or then, 2016 right. Gary. So the jokes are about smartphones.
Right, okay.
So, you know, it's 1990s Gary ending up in 2000. I don't want to give it away. But basically, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And everyone was really gutted when they didn't bring back Goodnight Sweetheart. They went with Porridge with right. Kevin. Anyway, it was shit. And they did a full season of remaking Porridge instead of Goodnight Sweetheart. But what the viewers didn't realise is that wouldn't have been because that was the better sitcom. It would have been because Nicholas Lyndhurst would no way do a full season of anything because he can pick and choose. But it is really good. So anyone listening or yourselves, lads, once you've done your rewatch, I really recommend the 2016 reboot. It's a very rare occurrence of something coming back and being as good.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. In light of this being the 1990s, because this is the point of this run of episodes, is there something here for Doctor Who fans? Does it fill a Doctor Who-shaped hole?
I do think the premise of someone going back in time and, as a result, opening a vintage shop based on stuff that they're just nicking from the past, there's something very blokey and particularly a Doctor Who fan type of male that would do something like that. But besides that, I think the appeal of it is actually more that there's a lot of sitcoms set in the past. So you've still got Blackadder, probably at this point. Even things like Hello, Hello are set in the past. So it's more just like a mashup of a couple of different sitcoms with a special effect of someone walking down an alley to link it together. But I think it's got a coziness. It's definitely made with the idea that kids can watch it. It's kind of not even for a specific person. I think it's quite a general audience, probably in the way that Doctor Who is as well.
I think the show is loads better than it needs to be or deserves to be. There's just something at the heart of it. Probably the writing, probably attention to detail. There's just a heart to this show that I think is universal. That's just great. And even though it's about adultery, it's great for people young and old. whether it appeals to Doctor Who fans. I'd be surprised if you were talking to your average Doctor Who fan who had watched it, who would say, oh, it's shit, that's not possible because of the quantum limitation effect. I can't imagine it. I think they'd enjoy it. It's, just something I just recommend for everyone. It doesn't fill a Doctor Who-shaped hole, but it's got 2 holes across all ears.
What a lovely way to sum up the show.
Hang on, wouldn't he get found out? Because he'd still smell of the girl from the... Well, that's the point.
Well, I suppose he has a shower.
I suppose he does.
Yeah, and he changes his clothes, doesn't he?
He does, but he usually changes his clothes in a bit of a rush.
You can still smoke in pubs in both time periods, so you would just smell of fags.
What I'm saying is when does he wash his knob?
Does a quick glory wash in the sink.
In his vintage shop, he does it in there.
Probably uses asbestos or something like that to rub it down. I had a fantastic time revisiting this, and I do want to watch more, which has not always been the case on these run of 90s non-Doctor Who's. So I was really pleased to revisit it. And if I was going to call it a clanger, a banger, or an average meander, it would be a banger from me. What say you, Jackson?
It's a banger.
And Mikey?
Banger and
Well, that was a lot of fun. Mikey, if people want to find you on the internet, where can they find you?
Look, don't bother. I'm not part of it anymore.
Mikey doesn't use the internet because he's coming from 1942. Well, this was a lot of fun. Next time, we're going to be joined by Richie Morgan, and we're going to be talking about the reboot of Randall and Hopkirk Deceased. But until then, I've been Dylan.
I've been Jackson.
And I've been Mikey.
And this has been Doctor Who 2 Hot for TV.
Goodnight, sweetheart. All my prayers are for you. Goodnight, sweetheart. I'll be watching on you. Tears and the parting may make us forlorn, but with the dawn, a new day is born.
Too hot for TV.
I would say that's a similar tone.
That reminds me of a modern show that isn't Judi Dench. It's a Sally Wainwright show. It's got Derek Jacobi in it.
We'll do a little... Shall I ask ChatGPT?
Yeah, that's good. We'll edit this out.
What's the sitcom where Judi Dench meets a fella she knew in the war? Here we go. Stand by. Wait for this. As time goes by.
As time goes by.
Okay.
So, Dylan, it reminds me of this show, As Time Goes By.